Boy DBD back again with another edition. So, guys, we're going to continue from the book Your Brain and Porn. If you are looking to dive into semen, what's it called, retention, or you want to participate in semen retention, I highly recommend this book because it talks about things about the neurochemicals, dopamine, phospho B, and other elements about your brain and how porn addiction begins, the side effects of pornography in terms of erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, and other things. So I'd highly recommend this book. Alright, so let's dive right into it here. So we're going to be reading from here. So it says sensation is based on the neurological principle nerve cells that fire together, wire together. Briefly, the brain links together the nerve cells for sexual excitement in the reward circuit. With the nerve cells that store more memories of the events associated with excitement, sight, sound, sensations, smells, and emotions. Repeated activity strengthens the cell's connection. So here it says memory. The memory that it's talking about is the muscle memory. This is where you get the terminology muscle memory from, where in your psyche, things and habits are recorded. So the more you do, that's what it says. If you do it repeatedly, they strengthen. Now, this is the nerve cell in your brain. This is what is depicted in this thing, right? When you, for instance, wash your teeth repeatedly, the muscle connectivity is strengthened, where it then becomes a habit, so you don't even have to think about it. It's just second nature in your psyche. Now, when we as individuals watch pornography repeatedly, what it does into our psyche is that it's engraved into our mind to the extent that when we want to stop it, or we want to stop fapping, stop watching porn, it's hard to, what's it called, stop doing it. Now we're going to break it down how to break those bonds. So it says stored in the nerve connection. Those associations are called cues or triggers by addiction expert. Anything that activates the neural pathways, should have been new pathways, but they just put pathways, grabs our attention by increasing reward circuits, dopamine. So basically, when we now, what's it called, are trying to try semen retention, you need to avoid anything that can trigger those memories to pop in your mind. So it says during evolution, the ability to react to cues worked in our ancestors' favor by helping them not to miss valuable opportunities. For alcoholics, the cues might be walking by a pub or the smell of beer. For heroin addict, it might be a syringe. For porn users, it might be seeing his smartphone or the name of a porn site. When cues are activated, sensitized neural pathways, you see neural pathways is there, blast the reward circuit with the spike in the electric activity, creating hard to ignore cravings to use. This happens unconsciously, so in our psyche, in our subconscious mind, which is the memory box. Those things are stored. So when we as individuals now see imageries or something that could spark those memories to come to our mind or our forefront, we tend to relapse. So it's our due diligence and our job to prevent and put a safety measurement in order for us not to relapse. You get me? So we're going to continue. Now, it says, and all you know is that you instantly have an overwhelming need to view porn. It can feel like, what's it called, a matter of life and death, such that all the your resolutions take flight. In the drug addicts, the cues induce dopamine spike and based high as a spike from the actual taking the drug, and this is like a true form for all the porn users. So cool. He says, I caught a glimpse of porn pic the other day, and there was a distinct buzz in my brain, almost like a hot flash. Fortunately, it freaked me out enough to get away fast. So you see, again, the only way for you as an individual to beat this porn addiction is to run away. But I'm going to read this part, and then I'm going to break it down for you. So it says the brain changes initiates delta phos B. So delta phos B is the chemical, which is a protein, which is released in our brain, which strengthen those bad habits. So it's the only way for you to, rewire your brain is to release less delta phos Bs to those departments, which we're going to break down, tend to keep us in the consuming, or in the case of the internet porn, reverted to what the brain perceives as fertilization first. But the set neurochemical dominoes obviously did not evolve to create addicts. I told you, those hormones are not there to make you addictive. But those hormones enforce addiction. It's not that you want to be addicted to porn, but it's just because you keep doing it. So now your brain is thinking, okay, this must be good in order for you to do it. So it doesn't know whether it's good or bad. It's up to you now as an individual to know the difference between good and bad. And that's why you need to reinforce good habits and not bad habits, because your brain doesn't know what's good or bad. So yeah, you need to remember that your brain can't differentiate between the two. It doesn't know whether you're strengthening good habits or it doesn't know whether you're strengthening bad habits. That's why it is your responsibility as a human being to strengthen the good habits. But we're going to continue. It says it evolved to urge animals to get it while the getting is good. Is good, yeah? Cool. Yeah, the getting is good. The point is that the mechanism of elevated dopamine leading to delta phos B accumulation initiates both sexual condition and addition. More on addition later. So it says each starts with the Pavlovian super memory, which in other words is the muscle memory in your psyche of pleasure sensation, which then triggers powerful do it again urges. When the addiction stops, what it says, when an addict stops using delta phos, slowly degrades, is back to normal levels about 2 months. So it takes about 60 days for us to rewire our human brain to forget habits. So when we're on semen retention, it's going to take you roughly, this book is initiating it. It's saying it's not what's it called 100%, but about 60 days in your brain is going to what's it called forget about watching pornography. Then it says, however, the sensitized pathways remain. So in other words, even though you might forget about it, it's still going to be in your brain forever. But this is why in this page it says you need to avoid triggers, things that's going to trigger those pathways to open again. So and ultimately you just have to stay busy so you don't remember these things forever. So it says, however, the sensitized pathways remain, perhaps for life, for a lifetime. Remember, the purpose of delta phos B is to promote the rewiring of the brain so that you will experience a bigger blast from whatever you have been over consuming. This memory or deeply ingrained learning lingers long after the initiate event. Unlikely as it may seem, the single biological discovery dismantles the claim that porn addiction does not exist. Delta phos B accumulation in the reward center of the brain is now considered to be sustained molecular switch for both behavior and chemical addiction. So in other words, ultimately, if you as an individual want to rewire your brain and you want to, what's it called, forget about porn and you don't want to be a porn addict and pornography is holding you hostage, what you need to do is ultimately practice semen retention, remove all the triggers from your brain, anything that can make you to spark that connectivity in your brain where you remember those good times that you had watching pornography. You need to forget about those times and now make new good times and good memories with new things that's going to benefit you in the longevity of things. So it could be reading a book. Start slowly reading a book. It could be, what's it called, learning a new skill. By doing so, you're going to now activate new neurochemicals in your brain, which will open new neural pathways, which will then ultimately make you forget the old things, but it's still going to be in your brain, but you're going to forget it long enough that you don't have to have that strong urge to do it. So if you do have an urge, your willpower will override it, and then you can suppress it and continue living happily ever after. But it's your boy DBD checking out. Shalom.